Hi and welcome back to another Photoshop manipulation tutorial, and this time guys what we're going to be doing is focusing on how I created this amazing Spider-Man image. So what we're going to do is we're going to do as we usually do, and we're going to break down the actual layers. So first of all, what I'm going to do is going to go about turning everything off. I'll show you the actual images that I actually used and then the way that I actually went about creating it. Now for this particular one, the way I created it also was I used an oil filter on it as well. Just so that, because Spider-Man's obviously not a real character in this particular image, you know, it's more of a CGI kind of creation. I wanted it to make sure that it would actually all suit together really, really well. So I'll show you what I mean by this as we go along. So first of all, we've got the sky here. I found this one, obviously, as you can see, it is just a basic sky, like a cloudier kind of sky over Sydney. So this is what it originally looked like. I got this, I think it's Unsplashed or somewhere like that anyway, so you can find something similar to this very, very easily indeed as well. So I got this one, but what I wanted with this particular image, I wanted it to look really, really dark and that lot, just so that is, you know, it just made it really more dramatic the way Spider-Man was on top of the roof. And because obviously, as you've seen from the first image, we wanted it to rain as well, so this is why we kind of wanted like these kind of clouds to be going with the image. So I made these kind of adjustments and stuff. Obviously you can make it as dark as you want or as light if you want, if you're going to go along with this kind of thing. A bit of Gaussian blur as well, just kind of blur it out as well. This is mainly to match the actual buildings that are going to go there as well. And then, like I say here at the bottom, as you can see, the oil paint as well. Now let me just draw this up. As you can see here, it wasn't too much, only a little bit of the stylized oil paint on here, and basically, like I say, all the layers are going to have that. And then the way Spider-Man is, and because like I say, it's more of a CGI, you know, kind of character in this particular image, it just makes it all look real instead of Spider-Man really sitting out of it. It's just the way that I like to make it work. I think it looks a lot better, but it's all down to personal preference on that one. Okay, so that's the sky one there, pretty much all very basic and simple. Then we're going to move on to the buildings. Now, the buildings, this particular one here before was, it had an actual like a blue sky behind there. So we had to go in with the pen tool, basically, edit all these bits out and stuff like that, just to make sure that the sky obviously looked real, so it's coming through the buildings and whatnot. So it took a little bit of time, but it wasn't nothing too crazy. And then once again, as you can see how blue this is, because how blue that is here in the buildings is how blue the sky was. So we need to get rid of that because obviously it doesn't really match the clouds or anything else like that. So a bit of hue and saturation, really drive out the blues and that lot, and just kind of like make the adjustments to suit the actual way that I wanted it, and obviously some curves there as well. So as you can see straight away, it kind of like matches the actual background really well. And then once again, as you can see, oil paint as well. With this oil paint, once again, for this particular one, just enough. So as you can see, it's just basically goes over there. There's no ripples, there's nothing like that or anything else like that. It doesn't really affect it in any way. It just gives it that beautiful, like, stylistic kind of look, which I really, really, really like. So I basically just add all these adjustments. Basically, that really didn't take too long. It's just messing around, just trying to get it how I really wanted it to look. So next thing up is the roof. Now, this roof here, so this is this one I found a little bit more trickier to actually find, just to try and find something that was kind of like flat, that kind of like suited this kind of image. Now for this particular roof here, so as you can see, this is quite flat. It was up to the middle bit here, so I had to flatten it down. You will have to have a bit of a hunt online. Maybe you'll get lucky and find another roof that's really flat straight away, but it's just trying to get it so that it kind of like suits the background, and two, it's kind of like straight on. That's the way that I wanted it. Maybe you'll be able to find a corner of a building if you wanted him to say sat on a corner of a wall or something like that, and maybe a street down below. That could work a lot better as well. But I wanted this big flat roof, mainly because I've got other projects as well. So whereas I put Spider-Man in this particular image, I put other people in here with him as well, you see. So, right, so basically with this particular roof as well, made the what am I doing? Okay, so we've got the roof here. So this is basically what it looked like before. So it's just like a normal standard roof. Cut it all out and made sure that it actually fitted to the actual picture there. So I was quite happy with the way that set it up. And then obviously it's just basically just some exposure, curves and adjusting, because I really wanted it to be dark, obviously, because it's night. But with this side of the buildings and stuff. This is kind of like the roof and that. So I didn't want any light or anything shining down onto this roof because I really wanted the lights from behind to be drawn out on top of Spider-Man. Okay, so with this roof as well, we made all the adjustments as well. So next thing up as well is this one. Right, okay, so let's get this up here. Right, okay, first of all, let's show you this one. For this one particular, what I kind of like made this image, and then I kind of like wanted to change the way the image worked. So basically, I had it here, and we had Spider-Man here, and this was all black still. So it's still exactly the same as this. Okay, so it looked like that, and I don't know, it didn't look right to me. So I wanted to make it more of like this to be more of like a black glass roof. You know, the black glass roofs that you can actually see and stuff like that. So I kind of like went with that. So where we have now, so change that. So basically I just obviously took this background here, Control J'd it, flipped it up horizontally, vertically, and then I dropped it down. But one thing I did is to make sure that obviously, as you can see, like these buildings here are slightly higher, so this roof slightly slants up an angle. So where you're going to get the reflections is this is going to have to be higher, but that's going to be more at the front, if you see what I mean. So don't, like, if you try and do these kind of reflections and stuff like that, don't do it like if the roof's like flat on, then that can work, okay. Because obviously my roof slants up a bit, it's not going to catch these lights here at all. It's just look really, really unrealistic. So obviously we had to make sure that we kind of had these lights here. So I played around with it until I found a way that I actually thought that it really, really suited well. With this as well, then we put some like motion blur, some Gaussian blur and that lot on it as well. The main thing being is because I wanted it to be like this because we have the water ripples and stuff like that. So obviously, because once you're going to get a reflection, it's never like perfect actually onto the floor, especially if there's water and other bits like that. So you don't want it to be like a really, really sharp image, otherwise it's going to look really, really unrealistic. So that's why we put some motion blur, some Gaussian blur and that lot on there as well. And then obviously, because obviously I was going for this rain effect, this is where the splashes, but we'll leave the splashes off just for 2 seconds while we concentrate on doing Spider-Man. As you can see, here's the shadow, but because with the shadow with this, it comes onto here. So obviously I've had to like, take that away, obviously, because where Spider-Man sits onto that particular one there, right? So then I had a particular, like his shadow as well. Let's go to Spider-Man. Let's get Spider-Man done. Right, so here we got Spider-Man here with the smaller shadows and stuff like that. Okay, the roof doesn't look too good at the moment, I must admit, but that's not until we've actually done the rest of it. Now, for actual Spider-Man, what we got is we made it so this is what it originally looked like. Okay, so this is how dark and bright and saturated the red was. Okay, so we got this particular character. I wanted to change it up a little bit. So as I went along, one thing I wanted to do was make sure, like, obviously it was darkened, but we wanted to use the original light that was actually shining on his body and use them for the street lights behind. So you can see all the lights there, which are pretty much on him anyway, which is, you know, a bonus for me. This is one of the reasons why I actually went about making this kind of image. And then I actually went about trying to change certain things. So one, as you can see there, with the curves, it just makes it darker in certain areas, like inside his legs, inside his chest area and stuff like that, which is more hidden by the light. Then we turn this one on. Now we've got the glowing edges as well. So basically we've done the hue and saturation and then basically matched the colors to the actual background. And then it's just started painting onto like the edges and stuff. So we've got nice glowing edges and the brightness coming around like that. I really like this kind of thing. This is why I like the oil painting, is because where this is all oil painted from behind and the lights come down and that lot as well. I've added oil paint to Spider as well, which is my bad. I forgot to do make it a smart object just to show you guys. But basically, he's got an oil paint on him as well. So all of these layers, all of them have, and that lot. And then once you do that, once I find them, you do that once you start putting the glowing edges on and stuff like that. I think it paints really nice. Now that could be just me, but I just think that it looks a lot better. And I've done that with real people as well, and it just really suits the image because obviously once you paint onto a person or something like that, I mean, obviously it's just like a basic kind of paint. It's not real or anything else like that. But once you've got like that oil paint, it just gives it that nice silky kind of look, and it just all seems to join on really well. And then obviously, as you can see for this particular one up here, is that I put blend if on it as well, just to tighten, just take it out the shadows and stuff like that as well. So it's kind of like suited in. I probably didn't make that the bestest and clearest way that I possibly could, but I hope you understand exactly what I mean in regards to that. So that was the way that I've actually made Spider-Man. So obviously you can see it's just your kind of like basic standard like kind of like changes and stuff. Just trying to find like the way that you want it. And like I say, I was using the light that was already on him pretty much in most places anyway to highlight that and to like really bring it out from behind. So that one worked quite well. The smaller shadow here, basically I just wanted a little bit more darker, especially around like his feet and where his hands are actually touching onto what is now going to be glass roof. So I basically had all this set up kind of thing, and then like I really wanted it to obviously to be raining, because this is why obviously we went with the sky and that lot, because as you can see with this particular image at the moment, it looks good, but it doesn't look dramatic or anything else like that. So I wanted to look a little bit more dramatic, give it a little bit something else to it as well. So this is where we went about doing the water. So first of all, one of the layers we had straight away is water ripples. Obviously, you can get these brushes from Brush Easy, a few other places like that. Very simple to do. Basically, you just go around, paint it on, find what really suits you, mess around with it a little bit until you're really, really happy with the kind of like the outcome with it. So obviously, all the rain is just going to be coming down. Then we have the rain droplets. Okay, so we're going to have it raining. It's going to be raining quite hard, but not like crazily hard. Now for this one, I found myself getting really picky with it. Really, I was making loads of changes. I must have deleted the layers like 10 million times, putting back on, changing the opacity in that lot because it looked a bit strong. It's just a bit of a fine balance until what you feel looks more realistic. So this is what I was really happy with in the end. But like I say, when you go and do it, you might prefer it to be a bit more heavier. You know, you won't be able to see as many splashes on the floor. It really is more of a personal preference on that one. So now we actually have the rain. So we got the rain pouring down at the moment. So let's just turn a few of these little layers off here. Okay, so first of all, this one was made with noise. So basically put the noise filter on, you make your adjustments and that lot, and then you just put motion blur. So obviously the rain's coming down, so you adjust your motion blur so it's facing straight down, and then it just like kind of like makes it look like rain. So it just drags out those speckles that you get as noise, makes them really, really long, and it just turns that into rain. And as you can see, it's like a really fine rain. So that's the shooting down and that lot. But obviously we wanted it to be a little bit more darker. So this is where we started adding some other bits to it as well. So we made those changes there, and here we have the rain. Now this particular one here, all these rain here, is just basically just like a rain brush. That's all I used. I didn't use anything special or anything else like that. Anything I did was resize it to make it longer, and then I added some motion blur on it as well to really like draw it so it's going down a lot faster and stuff. So as you can see, it's quite bigger. And now it kind of like ties in where you can see it bouncing onto the floor and what else. It gives it that real more dramatic kind of feel. So I was quite happy with that. I didn't really have to mess around with it too much. One thing I will say also, which I completely forgot actually, is these ones here, is the rain droplets on Spider-Man. As you can see, is another thing that's really important, is to make sure that I can't tell which one's which one is it. Here we go, right, okay, so it's these ones up here. Right, so basically what I've done is I've got in, and just like we've got on the ground here, so obviously we've got the water splashing up here, but it's what we wanted as well is to make sure that it went on top of his body as well. So just not everywhere, but just like on these kind of edges, onto the hands here, out to there. As you can see, it's just like a bit of water running down his legs and stuff like that. It's exactly pretty much the same, just a splash brush and stuff, and just go around, mess around with it until you're really, really happy with it. And obviously, from a distance, you can't really notice it too much, mostly around like the head and that, but it's really important to get these kind of like details in to make it look as realistic as you possibly could. So as you can see, with all those kind of layers, we put that oil painting on as well. Exactly the same with Spider-Man. I just messed around with like the values and that lot until it looked good. I haven't had to make any changes. The only thing I had to do was use the mixer brush on his eyes because he had like ripples across his eyes, but the rest of his body looked amazing. So I used the mixer brush just to straighten everything out so it looked better again, along with a couple of the gold bits and that lot. But that was pretty much very, very simple to do as well. So like as you can see, so it's got that nice oil filter effect. Everything looks really, really well balanced. Everything mixes together really, really well. And so I was happy with that. But then we had to put the magic into it. Now, the only thing I didn't do really for me, sadly, for some reason, is I did not put the smart filter on. But basically, I've gone in. So as you can see, we want to make it look really dark and dramatic. Okay, so I've got that one there. So basically, for this one to actually work, is all I've basically done is we've gone into let's go into smart filters here. Really, actually, let's turn this one off. See, there you go. I'll remember. I'll get better at this in the long run, but we'll just go quickly through. I'll just show you the kind of like changes that happen in regards to with camera raw filter, because obviously one thing I wanted to really bring out was the rain as well. Obviously, as you can see, the rain looks good, but we needed to really bring it out a lot more. So I made it a little bit more bluer for a start, but this isn't going to be the same. I'm just going to quickly rush through it quickly. Drop the brightness down. I think it was down to around about 10. Add a little bit more contrast to the image, nothing too crazy. Wanted to pump up the highlights quite a bit as well, because I really want to draw those lights out, but then obviously we want to make it a lot more darker in for the shadows, put some blacks in. Now for the rain in particular, I put a little bit more clarity, but then I did boost up the texture quite a bit as well. Makes it really, really dark, but it really brings out the rain as well, which I really, really like. So we've changed a few things like that. Basically, I did do a little bit with the curve. It wasn't anything too crazy. It's more just bringing out these like this highlight a little bit here, and then just crushing the blacks just a tiny bit. Nothing too crazy. And then for the blues in this lot, it was just to try and drop it down. You see how bright it is up at the back here? I didn't want it quite as bright, so drop it down there. Now the lights in the background are more yellow. I wanted to draw them out, so I made them a little bit more yellow and stuff. So I made those kind of changes. And then for the color grading, basically I just added like blues into the shadows and highlights, and I messed around with all these kind of values and stuff like that, and just experimented more than anything else until I actually got the one that I wanted, and that was this particular one here. Like I say, everyone's got some personal preferences in regards to how they would like it to look, and one thing I did not like, and even though I did change this camera filter raw about 3 or 4 times, one thing I could not get right was the redness on that, so I ended up changing it afterwards. And kind of like just dropped it down so it had a bit more orange into it as well. I like the red in that lot, but it just looked a little bit too strong for me. So I just put a bit of human saturation there, just changed it up, the reds up a little bit, just to make sure that it kind of like suited to my personal taste. But I will say with the backgrounds here as well, with the lights, these were all brought out, made particular layers with color dodge. So basically done a layer with color dodge and then used the actual color from the windows, from the lights, and then brushed over them, and that lot to really bring out the colors. And I've done that with color dodge. I made another layer level with soft light, and then another one with overlay to really, really bring out those lights to make them a lot more brighter than just the way they were looking before. But that's basically how I went about making this Spider-Man image. Hope you found this useful, guys. I'll certainly be back again. Hopefully we're looking around and making like maybe 2 videos a week, but at least we'll definitely be bringing out 1 video a week at the present moment, just depending on my work schedule as it is. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for checking in. Hey, if you'd like to subscribe, it'd be absolutely amazing. Drop me a like. That'd be absolutely fantastic as well. And I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.